So I got a little bit of a hot topic to start off with. I'm curious how you both feel about this, but would you ever be willing to be a part of a cuckold in any way? Either you're the voyeur, the man watching, or you're the outside party coming into the relationship.
Now that is a very interesting question, and I'm gonna let Rod answer first. I don't know if I want to touch that one just yet.
Yeah, I would. And but it would be very extreme circumstances. I would only do it like if it was like a very famous person or someone who's very, very attractive. I couldn't do it to no regular person. I wouldn't want no regular person watching me. But if a famous person was watching me, I don't know, that might turn me on. Like,
So it's less about the attract or like the fame of the woman and more about like how famous the man is. Like if it's like,
wait,
oh,
what?
he's that nigga
Right.
that he can watch.
Nah, it'd just be like, I don't know how like old white men be trying to like push up on like successful black dudes.
Yeah.
Like how they get like something out of it. Like I might get like something out of it if I'm like Jay-Z, that nigga. Like I'm really
Jay-Z.
fucking Beyonce and Jay-Z's with Jay-Z's approval. Like that's what's up.
I see where you're coming from. I see.
Okay.
Like it's like a stamp of like it's like a status thing.
I'm him.
Yeah.
What if he wasn't as famous as Jay-Z, but he had stupid money? Like he was a billionaire, but nobody knew him. But he was a billionaire.
I'm gonna let Matt answer.
No, this is your scenario. I didn't say nothing about no celebrities or nothing. This is on you.
No, I answered the question, and now it's going off into a tangent. Why don't you go ahead and answer the first question?
Yeah, let's see what you gotta say, Matt.
The first question, I mean, shit, man. It's never something I've tried. It's something that I thought about before. Like, I wonder how that would be. But I think that it's just interesting, like, because this is why though, because it's definitely be married women that I'd be like, yeah, I would definitely do that. Like just like one on one with them.
Strippers.
You know, I don't know nothing about strippers, but so it'd be like, oh, but they married. So like, what if the husband's into the, you know what I'm saying, to the whoop-de-whoop? I don't know though. I don't think I could do that shit just because I don't want the nigga in the other side of the room like beating his meat and shit like while I'm trying to do the shit. And then like I just like, you know,
what if you don't see him?
What if I hear him though?
Well, what if there's no beating his meat involved? He's just sitting there watching, like phone out, recording. You see both hands, but he's just sitting there.
Just a dark room, and you just see like the light in his eyes.
The flash on in the corner.
I don't know. I mean, I think that would make me more comfortable, but
okay.
It's still just not like I don't like people watching me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just weird to me, especially like another dude just in the corner, just like getting turned on by it. Like it's just kind of strange. But then also it's kind of like live porn though, if you really think about it. Like it's like me and her was shooting the flick and he just watching. So like,
and let's say he was watching because he was like, "Oh, you're going crazy, bro." Like that would make you feel like, all right.
And then I want to take it somewhere else.
Okay.
People watch porn and we're watching someone else have sex. So
strangers that we don't know.
What's your problem, Matt, with someone watching sex? Like you watch porn, why can't he watch it?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like it's I kind of like it gives me a different perspective because like yeah, we all watch porn or whatever, but at the same time, I never seen no live porn before. Like that's something I would never do and I've never done. So I just don't really.
You want to go to like a sex club or anything like that?
Nah, I don't.
Or what Lizzo said with like bananas getting just popped out of pussy. You wouldn't?
Yeah, I mean, some Amsterdam shit.
Now that sounds a little bit interesting, but like I don't know. I feel like it would just smell funny in there, and it'd just be like a bunch of noises and smell like latex. And like I don't know. I don't think that would be my vibe to go to one of those establishments. But like, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say no on the cuckold thing for both sides. I definitely know that I wouldn't want to watch my wife with another dude. Like that's out of bounds for me. But
Okay. And you would not want to be the other dude. Okay.
I could be persuaded, possibly. I don't know.
So let me add another layer to it.
Okay.
So obviously,
before you go to the extra layer, didn't last pod you said you was okay with your girl texting and OnlyFansing?
Yeah, no, that's different. No, that's different. That's different. But I said that, but I also followed it up with saying like any sexual acts, I'm not cool with that. You know what I mean? So like that's different. Like watching her like get, you know what I'm saying, beat from the back is crazy.
Pound town. Just left pound town.
Like for real. But go ahead and add that second layer, Jermayne, that you were speaking about.
So it sounds like both of you are like, for the most part, you're not totally for being the outside party. Like Rod, you would consider it if it was like, you know, a famous couple. Matt, you might.
It's not even necessarily famous, just very attractive woman. I would consider it.
Okay. So imagine that it's a white couple and they want you to come in and they are like, hey, we don't want you to use protection with the wife. We're hoping to have a mixed baby. You don't have to be involved. You can sign away your rights. We aren't looking for anything from you except for your black man seed.
I don't know. That's different. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not all the way like saying no, but I'm pretty much on the no side though. Like that just seemed kind of weird. It just seemed like fetish-ish.
Does that make you more likely to say no if they add that layer in? Like,
yeah,
hey, we're kind of hoping to get a mixed baby out of this.
Yeah, that don't because I don't like the fetishization of like, oh, my baby is gonna be this and that, and you know what I'm saying. Like, I hate when people be like, oh, we're gonna have a mixed baby, we're gonna have a light skinned baby, dark. You know, that's just weird to me. So I don't think I could participate in that type of debauchery there. Right? What you say?
I mean, I'm gonna stick along the lines what I said before. If it was like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and Angelina Jolie needed my help, I'm honored. I'm there to help. I'm there to assist. Whatever I can do. I would want to be a part of the baby's life as well, but I wouldn't make it weird for them. Like I'd be like, we all just want the best thing for the child.
Yeah, I'm Uncle Rod. I'm the third parent.
Yeah, Godfather, whatever you want to call me. Like, I'm available. But I don't know. It's only extreme instances though.
Okay.
This is very extreme. Like,
I got one more layer.
Okay.
One more layer. Obviously, you know, you mentioned it might be a little bit weird to be recorded, have somebody watch. It's like kind of the voyeur aspect can be a little awkward. So what if to make it easier, she's like, hey, there's going to be less pressure on you because we're just going to run a train. So it's about to be 6 other dudes here. So my husband is watching, but he's not necessarily watching you because there's multiple men here. And if I get pregnant, I don't know whose baby it is anyway.
Which is crazy. But you know what? I'm not sex shaming. I'm not going to sex shame. What I will say though is that leave me out of this scenario. I'm not a train runner. I'm not into that. I do all my dirty work by myself. So that's going to automatically disqualify me.
Yeah, me too. All those bodies and stuff, people. I'm good on that. Like, yeah, that's too much. So why you answer none of these questions, Jermayne? You just asking questions today?
Yeah, how can we flip this? How can we flip this in a woman's perspective?
Hey, what do you want to know?
I mean, it could be flipped like the same way that she asked the question.
Would I ever be a part of a cuckold?
Yeah, like women do it. They watch a man fuck another girl.
Oh, hell no. Like me watching my man with somebody else?
Yeah.
Hell no. That's the easy one. No.
So there's no scenario ever in life.
No.
What about the other way around?
If I'm paralyzed.
Your man watching you with another guy.
Hell no. Because at that point, there's no reason for us to be in a relationship because...
It's funny how you have such a strong stance now.
Oh, strong stance, but I was asking you guys. I just thought it was funny. I wanted to hear what you guys had to say. You guys could have said no. You were both like, maybe,
Okay.
maybe.
See, but okay, well, let's take it there then, because like, Rod, the question that you asked is like in your relationship. Like, all the scenarios that Jermaine was talking about was like you coming into somebody else's relationship. Like that's the difference. Now bringing that into mine, I'm not doing that either. Like I would like to keep that sacred. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about that.
Sacred to a certain extent.
No, we ain't doing no cuckolding, no extra poly, none of that. Like that's not what I'm looking for. But I'm saying like I could be persuaded to like go into somebody else's shit.
Yeah, I think it's totally different being the third party in somebody else's relationship than it being your relationship. Like I'm similar to Matt. Like would I do any of this? Probably not. But I would be more easy to be persuaded if I'm the outside party versus my relationship. I think personally, people play a lot of silly games with that today. And like you play silly games, you get silly prizes.
Mhm.
Once you start bringing people in, I think it's easier to compare, easier to have like lingering feelings. I just think it's easier for it to get clouded.
Yeah.
But if you're the outside party, you get to have a good time and walk away.
You get to go home, go to sleep in your own bed, not have to have a conversation about, oh my God, he was blowing my back out. And then the husband like, oh, did you enjoy it, honey? Like you don't get to,
I did.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like
exactly. Like no. If anything, if I had to be a part of this dynamic, which I wouldn't choose to be, I would much rather be the like person who like had a great time and is like, see ya, deuces.
It's much easier that way because, I mean, unless you and your partner, whoever you are out there, unless y'all are just into that and that's what y'all do, like that's fine too. But I'm just saying, for me, it's gonna be enough for me. But let's go ahead and intro this episode as we always do. Welcome to the Friends Podcast, man. Thank you so much for joining us. And if it's your first time, thank you for coming through. My name is Matt, and I'm here with my two co-hosts.
What's up, y'all? It's Jermayne.
And this is Ron. This is the Friends Podcast. Make sure you check us out. We're streaming everywhere: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. And I heard they're getting rid of Google Podcasts, so
Really,
we're not going to be on Google no more. So,
damn.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that Google's getting out the podcast game.
I don't know. I mean, they in so many other games. I don't know if it matters.
I mean, I think from a podcasting perspective, it's probably good. Like consolidate the platforms, you can have more accurate numbers. I think when people are split out all over the place, it's kind of hard to keep track. But at the same time, from a Google perspective, it's like Google has been, as a former Google employee, I can say Google has been struggling lately.
Really?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, they cheat. They just don't want to pay an extra person. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can have that conversation about Google one day because they done had some failures before. What was that?
Google Glass. That was the big one.
You said Google Blast?
Glass. Remember when they had the AI glasses? They were the first on that, and that never took off.
For real?
Yeah. They also had like some Google, like it was something on the email. It was like some video or kind of chat thing.
Oh, G-Chat probably?
Before. No, it was before that. It was called something else, but besides that, make sure you go check out our merch store, the TFP shop. Let's go ahead and get this shit popping off. All right, so Jermaine, you said you went to the Dave Chappelle show recently. How did that go?
Yeah, it was dope. I went a couple weeks ago, and I've actually seen Dave live before, but this time he was at Little Caesars Arena. So if you guys aren't familiar with Detroit, Little Caesars is where the Pistons play. That's our big arena. That's where, I'm not sure how many people it sits, probably like 30,000, I would assume, in that range. It's a big, big arena. So that was my first time actually seeing him in a bigger space. I've usually seen him in theater spaces. And I was really curious, like, how is that going to translate? What's that going to look like? But I was really surprised. Like, he had it packed.
He's done big arenas before, like in his career. So
yeah, but I guess in Detroit,
stand-up specials and stuff like that. So
for sure. I just didn't think in Detroit that he would. I wasn't sure if he would get enough people. Quite honestly, like usually when he comes to like Detroit. He comes to like smaller venues, maybe like 10,000 or less, but would do it for like 3 nights in a row. And I just wasn't sure if he could pack out one arena for one night. And let me tell you, it wasn't only packed, but like that was low key the most diverse crowd I have ever seen. Like
Really?
white, black, Middle Eastern, Indian, East Asian. I feel like it was a much older crowd, which I've definitely come on here before and like complained to y'all about like young people at concerts. I was the young person this time. It was a lot of people in like their 40s, 50s, which was dope. Like you got to see a lot of people where it was obvious they like grew up with Dave, you know?
Can you explain your experience like from the beginning? Did you get there early, and what were you kind of anticipating? Because some people I like to get to shows early so I can start drinking a little bit and just like get there before the rush, like the big line that starts like packing up. I like to be one of the first people in the door.
Yeah, I'm the same way, especially with comedy shows. So we got there early to have a couple drinks. It was obviously, you know, if you go to a lot of comedy shows, particularly Dave, they make you lock your phones up. So we locked our phones up, and he gave everybody like goodie bags, like these like little canvas tote bags that have like his logo and stuff on them to keep. So that was pretty cool. Like I was not mad at getting free Dave Chappelle swag. But speaking of which, I don't know what happened to my bag, but went in the line to go and get drinks, and he had a couple openers. One guy, I didn't catch his name.
Before you get to the openers, how was like you said it was a diverse crowd? Like the people around you, were everyone talkative, like excited for the show and talking to each other? Was the vibe there between the crowd and everyone's got like just anticipating his show?
For sure. So at the bar, like it was middle-aged white people, like 20-something-year-old white people, an Indian couple, an Asian couple, a couple Black couples, and everybody was like talking to each other. And I think one of the things that's different is because your phone is locked up, like you kind of have to talk to other people. Like I think we've all gotten so into that habit of when you have your phone in an awkward moment, you just pull out your phone, you scroll. Without your phone, you kind of end up being like, hey, so you like Dave, I like Dave, you know, like people are just like trying to find shit to talk about. And in some ways it was kind of dope just finding people like talking about their favorite Dave jokes, favorite Dave stand-ups, like favorite Dave Chappelle memories. So that was like really cool to overhear people having those conversations. And just different. Like I low-key feel like now, not just for like comedy shows, but for concerts, can we just like all lock up our phones and like have to talk to people in real life for a couple hours? So got my drinks, went to my seats. So the first act was, I didn't catch his name. He was cool.
How many first acts were there like before he came on?
2.
A bunch.
Just 2. The first guy, like I didn't catch his name, and then the second one was Donnell Rowling, which obviously
my guy.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the Chappelle Show, you're familiar with him. So Ashley Larry came out looking not so ashy. He had a suit on. He looked good. And one of his first jokes, without giving too much away, he said the F word. And it was this really like awkward.
Which F word? The 4 letters or the LGBTQ one?
LGBTQ one.
Oh, okay. And that was Dave Chappelle.
No, that was Donnell Rowling. So this is before Dave gets on there.
Oh my God.
So he says it, and obviously there's like an awkward, like, should we laugh at this? And like you kind of see people kind of like, and he makes this really interesting point. He's like, yo, I said nigga like 4 times and nobody said anything. And then the one time I say this word, you all get weird. Like, no, if we can joke about other people, we can joke about everybody. We're not just going to joke about Black people, essentially. And it was dope because it definitely laid the groundwork into what Dave did. Because Dave made jokes about everybody. Indian people, East Asian people, handicapped people, the LGBT, Black people. He made a couple jokes about Jewish people, which was very surprising. He didn't go too crazy on them, but he made a couple jokes. And so I think it was just like, it set the groundwork really well of like, yo, anybody is going to get it in this show. This clip does not discriminate. I don't want to give away too much in terms of like the jokes, but I will say it was cool to be in an environment where, yes, it was super diverse, and also everybody was cool taking the jokes. Like, it was awkward when he got on the handicap jokes at first, because I think we've all been trained to not laugh at handicapped people. So there was a moment where he started making the jokes and everybody's like looking at each other like, damn, am I supposed to laugh? Are we supposed to laugh at this? And then eventually you realize like, yeah, we're all going to laugh at all these jokes. When the jokes come towards your community, you just accept it, go with the punches, and keep going. But
when do you think people got so sensitive? Because I don't know. I feel like you shouldn't really have those views on comedians, because you, like, looking at Dave Chappelle, I already know what he's gonna do in his set. He's gonna make fun of every race, because that's normally like his thing since the beginning. Yeah. He does social commentary.
I think that's a good point. I don't know when people got super sensitive. And I think what was cool is maybe because it was an older crowd, like there were not like Gen Z people here, to be honest. It was all millennials and up pretty much. So like, I remember watching the Chappelle Show in middle school. I definitely feel like our generation and up is like a little bit less sensitive because we just grew up kind of hearing some of that. And so I kind of feel like it's a generational thing. I feel like Gen Z has been groomed to like look for like reasons to cancel people, reasons to call people homophobic, sexist, racist. And so it was cool to just be around a group of people who don't feel that way. And it was funny because my brother was also at the show. He wasn't sitting with me, but we like talked about it after the show. And he was like, we were talking about the fact that it was just a super diverse crowd. And he was like, yeah, there were definitely some like people there from the LGBT community, which I didn't realize. But he was like, yeah, there are some people like from the LGBT community, which was really interesting to me, considering that everybody knows that he makes trans jokes. Like that's like a thing that we all know at this point. So I thought it was dope that there are people who can recognize that social commentary is good for social commentary's sake. Like you don't have to be personally offended by it.
I mean, and I think the thing is that like, oh, the internet was mad. He was canceled on the internet, but there's real people in real life that were still fans and understood the jokes.
When I tell you that place was sold out from top to bottom, and in the front row, he was like at one point started making jokes about people like close to the stage, and it was a Muslim couple, and he was making jokes about them. And for anybody who's not familiar, Metro Detroit has a large Muslim community, like the largest outside of the Middle East. Yeah. And so he even commented on the fact that like, oh, yo, I forgot where I was. Like, I forgot that I was in Detroit. Obviously, if you don't know, Dave is also Muslim. And so he was able to connect with them and also joke on them like, yo, how many wives you got? Like, you got a lot of wives? And it just be a joke, and for it to not be like this big, huge issue.
Okay.
So it just made me miss the time when like the world was just a simpler place and people were not looking for reasons to be offended.
No, I think that's dope. So how would you rank him, like from what you've seen on stand-up, on Netflix and his other stand-ups and like in live? Like, how would you rank this one? Is it pretty high? Is it pretty low compared?
Well, was this your first show seeing him live? I don't know if you answered that earlier.
No, I've seen him live before. Was this the funniest I had ever seen him live? No, but Dave is such an amazing storyteller. Like, I always am amazed at like how hard it is to sit or stand in the middle of an arena. You got no lights, you got no music, you got no dancing, like you have nothing else there but your voice. And so to be able to just talk and captivate people for an hour and a half is amazing to me. So like I said, it wasn't like his funniest in terms of like, ha, 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 but in terms of social commentary, it definitely, and I don't want to give too much away because I'm assuming this is going to be a Netflix special, but it definitely made you think about how we interact with each other. Like he made jokes about stereotypes and some stereotypes being a good thing. Like I said, he made jokes about the handicap community, people who are disabled, and kind of just like there's some people who aren't good just because they're handicapped. Like, you can be handicapped and still be an asshole. Like, there are just the moments where it was like, oh, shoot.
I've definitely met a like handicap asshole. Like for certain. Like middle school and high school. Man, this dude had muscular dystrophy. And he was the biggest asshole I knew. This like he said racist jokes, like he would always just be upset. I mean, he had a good reason to though. Like he had a good reason to be upset, but yeah, because they don't live long, and they muscles like deplete a little.
Well, goddamn. Okay.
So I mean, like I understood. Like I mean, I had real conversations with him, so I know. And he had family that was like that. So he experienced it with his family.
Oh, they also had muscular dystrophy.
Yeah, his family did. His brother, and then he had like other people in the family. So it was like a long line. Well, and like he was just like a morbid, emo kind of white kid. Like I don't know. He was funny though. Like I don't know.
This might be a little bit off topic, but what you said just reminded me of this. When I used to work, I'm just gonna say it because I don't work anymore. But when I used to work at Google, a guy who worked there had Tourette's, and it was like, I don't know how you rank Tourette's, but it was severe enough that he would just, like say shit. And so, he might be like, you might be in the cafeteria and just hear and be like, fuck you, bitch. Or like, nigger. And there was a black girl that we used to work with. And she got offended by it one day. And was
I swear I would get it off if I was just pissed off at someone one day. Like, they know you normally do that. Like,
and that's what happened. This girl was like, basically trying to say, like, no, he can control it. Like, it's not his Tourette's. Like, he's just racist. And this is a hostile work environment. I should be promoted because I'm dealing with this hostile work environment. And, it's like, at what point can we just say, like, damn, why is your Tourette's only focused on Black people and women? Like,
right.
Why is it never about men? Why are you always going off on this?
That always interested me too, because it's like, why you just turn straight to racism and whatever ism, you know what I mean? And I feel like it might be, I don't know too much about it, but I feel like they like say the opposite of what they feel kind of sometimes, maybe. I want to say that just to make me feel better.
That is a little weird. Like, why do people with Tourette's say curse words? Why not like any other word, like randomly?
Yeah.
Like, why is it never just like a random word?
Like apple pie. Like it'll never be nothing different. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or nothing like positive. Like, I don't know enough about the mechanics of Tourette's to know, but I am like, I was kind of like, why is it always racist? Why is there something racist?
If anybody listening has Tourette's, please pull up. We're not trying to laugh at you. We just wonder.
I'm just legitimately curious. And so I bring all of that up to say is like, I think sometimes we feel like we can't even ask questions about other communities because today it seems as being like insensitive, but sometimes it is like, yo, I am just curious. So he talked about like, experiences he had as a kid with like his close Indian friend, or like jokes that him and his wife made to each other. And his wife is Asian. I think she might be Vietnamese, if I remember right.
I believe so.
And so you just realize like, it's okay for us to like joke amongst each other as different communities. It's okay to have questions amongst each other. And I think that's why I have so much respect for comedians. It's like, if you're a comedian like Dave Chappelle, who does social commentary, or somebody like Bill Burr, I really like Bill Burr, there is a place for us to have like honest dialogue. And I think a lot of times honest dialogue starts as jokes.
It definitely does.
One of the jokes he was making about, I don't want to say, because it should not come from me, but one of the jokes he made, the center of it was like stereotypes. And like, yo, some stereotypes are not bad. Like, if your community is stereotyped to be rich and successful and smart, like, is that a bad thing? Or should you actually lean into that stereotype?
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Like, what race has the best stereotypes?
Damn, that's a good question.
I'm gonna say Asians probably got like the best rep.
I would agree, for sure.
Um,
Like, especially depending on what community. Like, if you're thinking like Japanese or Chinese, like it's smart, successful, generally nice.
Good at math,
Yeah.
humble.
Mm-hmm. Good employees.
there's another one that I wanted to say, but I don't want to say it.
Work hard, study
What
all the
is it?
time.
There's a couple more, but I'm gonna leave those. Those are the good ones. Those are the good ones. That's it for real. Like Mexicans,
White
they
man.
be well.
White
What's-
guys
I,
not typically.
I feel like white men have been getting it in the ass lately, though. Their stereotypes have turned the opposite.
Yeah, that's online, but not in real life. They still getting it. They still get to the
don't-
back.
Yeah.
Like their white skin is definitely taking the places, no matter what the online says. Like this is generational, baby. Like they know what it is.
For real. Yeah, I can't even think of any white stereotypes for real because I mean, what is it like? They call the police.
Slave owners.
Yeah,
They take charge.
That they're all like generationally wealthy.
Yeah, racist, automatically racist.
Mhm.
So the bad things don't really affect them like economically. Like it's just
No. The bad thing, that's a good point. Their bad stereotypes only affect them, I hate to say it, with like Black people, and we systematically don't have as much power. So like, who cares if we think they're Karens? Like, it's not going to stop them from getting a job.
Yeah, they're good.
At most, we get them quote unquote canceled, but that, like you were saying, Brad, that's just an online thing.
yeah. I mean, some people did lose their jobs, but I mean, I feel like all that's just temporary.
Yeah.
Like, people's gonna lose the outrage in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you can go get another job in the other district. You know what I'm saying? Up the street. So so before we get off the comedy special, I just wanted to ask y'all this: like, how do y'all feel about comedians having the responsibility, or do comedians have the responsibility to do social commentary? Like, is that the best vehicle for that?
I'm not even gonna say every comedian does social commentary like that. I would say only really great comedians do it, and there ain't that many of them are able to do it. Most of them put on an image or a character or something that they're trying to portray, and they just keep going on that topic. Like if they're like a Black comedian, typically they'll keep bagging on Black people like throughout their entire set, like for their entire time. They don't know how to like commentate on anybody else, and because they feel like the crowd won't like it.
I mean, I think it can be, for the wrong comedian, a big risk to start commentary in other groups. I think one of the reasons why Dave gets away with it is I feel like he actually has real life involvement with people of other communities, of other races, people in the LGBT community. Like he has like the actual personal capital to put himself out there. I think if you don't really have relationships with people of other communities, it would be seen as like, why are you making these jokes? Like, who are you to say these things about us?
I feel like that's what people said about Dave Chappelle, though, and that's what people think about Dave Chappelle. Typically, when he first started making those jokes, they said, why is Dave Chappelle making these jokes? And why is he making this a big topic of his set?
Do you remember like what category of the jokes were they talking about? Were they saying that with like
It was the trans jokes mostly. And he made like the Netflix special, which it literally, the LGBT community, it was literally the entire comedy set. Like he spoke on it for a good 40 minutes and his thing was like an hour.
And I think he shut not all of them, but some of them up when I think it was the next special he actually dedicated to, was it Daphne, if I remember her name right, but the trans comedian who he was actually friends with. And I feel like he shut some people up where it's like, yo, she wasn't just the butt of these jokes. Like that was my actual friend. That was a real life person that I knew.
I heard stories that he altered that story from people. And that what he said on stage wasn't even like the real story like that.
That's interesting. Because speaking of people altering stories, Hasan Minhaj has been in the news a lot lately. he was kind of set up to be the next host of The Daily Show, but all of that is in question now because it came out that he was actually fabricating certain jokes and storylines that he made related to situations like Islamophobia and like discrimination, that some of those jokes were actually totally made up. So I'm curious for you guys, like, what do you think the line of, like, how far can you go in terms of like being honest or using something as a joke or a punchline goes in comedy? Like, should comedians be honest? Does it not matter if they're just trying to get the jokes off?
Yeah, I don't know. Just because I do think comedy is comedy, like you should be able to just go on there and say whatever is funny. Like to me, I feel like if it's funny and it really just makes people laugh, then like say it. You know what I mean? It don't matter if it's fabricated. It don't matter if it's, you know what I'm saying, like half truth or whatever. Like I feel like if it's funny, it's funny. Like just say that shit. But I think what gets dangerous with that type of shit is like these are real things that happen to real people, and if that didn't happen to you, it don't make me look at you in like a, because comedy, like jokes come from a real place, and I feel like if it's not really coming from a real place from you or from somebody that you know, then I don't really fuck with you as a comedian personally.
Yeah, I think you said the key thing about like it depends on if it's jokes. Like with Hasan Minhaj, his stuff, it wasn't even so much that it was the joke. It was more stuff to like make you feel sympathetic for him. So one of the things that he lied about, for example, is he has a skit where he talks about receiving a letter to his home that had a white powder in it, and his daughter, his like baby daughter, getting in the letter, and he rushed her to the hospital, and thankfully he found out that it wasn't, you know, anthrax or anything. But his wife was like, see, these jokes you're telling us are putting us at risk and putting the life of our unborn baby at risk. And I've seen all his specials, so I've seen the joke in the context of the special.
Oh, it's this guy. Wow.
And it pulls on your heartstrings in the moment. You're like, damn, like he's really out here risking his life. And then you realize in the story that came out, the expose, like his daughter there was never any white powder incident. Like his daughter was never rushed to the hospital. His daughter was never at any sort of threat. His security was never heightened. Like he might have got a funny letter, but like it actually didn't. And none of the things that he said after that part were true. And Hasan
what's the question then?
Like, should comedians, like how much honesty do we expect from comedians? How much can you get off in terms of just, hey, I want to get this joke off, so I'm going to make this shit up, versus how much do we expect to be true?
I mean, I don't think comedians have to be true. Like I was saying earlier, most comedians, they are making up a character and they're just trying to play to it for their set, and they're just trying to get the best set. It's not just comedians as well. It's normally artists do it as well when they're talking about the streets and they're not really in the hood. They're just rapping about that kind of lifestyle. Yeah, I'm not mad at people lying. Like if it's entertaining, because this is an entertainment space. We're just here to, like, even when you're looking at reality TV, I don't think all that stuff like on Real Housewife and these dating shows and people getting married on those shows, all that stuff, it's all fake. They're just doing that for entertainment. They're making that up. They're acting. So I don't blame him for doing that. But when you say it comes down to like pulling on people's heartstrings, like making up these very kind of elaborate stories about his daughter and like she went through health scares, I'm like, it does make you seem like an asshole though, because it's like that's borderline. That's not funny. That's just like that's not funny at all. Like that's you making up a story, like trying to pull on people's heartstring, and you're manipulating people's emotions. Like that's not comedy. That's real dark when you really think about it.
Yeah.
Like he thought about it. Like he was like, yeah,
I'm gonna put this in my set. Yeah. My daughter was in the hospital. Yeah, I feel similarly to you, Rod. Like I don't think that I think in the art of trying to entertain people, like, yeah, you embellish stuff, you add layers to stories, you find ways to make them more entertaining. And I think, for example, like Dave Chappelle, I think he does a great job with that. Like, do I believe 90% of the things that he said have actually happened in real life? No, but they're funny, they're entertaining, and you see at the end of his set, like, there was a purpose for all those stories. Some of the stuff that Hasan lies about, though, it's like, this is stuff that wasn't meant to be funny. It was made to pull on your heartstrings. Like, I don't know if you can get these jokes off. So one of the things that he joked about, or two of them, I'm going to give you guys two examples because they were just crazy to me. So Hasan is Muslim and grew up in Sacramento. And he claimed that there was this white guy who infiltrated a mosque, his mosque, and that he became friends with this guy, invited him over to his house, and that the whole time he knew that the guy was a police informant. And then at some point he like confirmed that he was a police informant, like found the guy in a police car and was like, see, I knew he was a police informant. Mind you, the guy was never at his mosque. Hasan never met this guy, like had no actual connection to this person. Like the whole story was made up. And it's like, you can still talk about your experience being Muslim in America after 9/11 without adding in this third party who was literally never there, like a real life person who was never there.
Oh, this is a real person, like literally a real name and everything.
Yes. That's how they know that they were alive. They confirmed with this person. He's like, yo, I didn't even go to his mosque. Like, I don't know this guy.
Wow. That's crazy. That's wild.
And then the other story that
you said after 9/11?
Oh
man, he's a sick motherfucker.
No, but I feel like a lot of comedians like that's of Muslim and Arab descent, like that be they spiel, like, oh, I'm in America after 9/11, like I'm trying to navigate, like that's their spiel.
Who else you know do that?
Well, he really the only one.
There's another guy who does that too, but his story I've tried to actually like cross-reference. He had a show on Netflix. What was his name? Mo?
Mo.
I know who you're talking about. I know the show.
Yeah, he's
got
funny.
A whole few series.
Yeah, Muhammad.
I never seen it though. I don't think it's good, but
oh yeah, Mo Amer.
Yeah, Mo Amer. There we go. And then the other joke he told that turned out to be a lie was in one of his first specials, Homecoming King. He talks about how like he was going to go to prom with this girl, this white girl. He really liked this girl. He was cool with her family, blah, 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 blah. And then the day of prom, he shows up at her house with this little corsage. And she's like, no, we can't go to prom together. My family won't let me go to prom with you because you're a brown boy. And his like heart was crushed. And then later, she ends up in real life marrying an Indian guy. And in one of his specials,
his stories are really elaborate. Are people just gullible?
Well, I think because he says so many details, you assume they're true. And in one of his like off-Broadway versions of this set, he shows a picture of a girl with her new husband. And so people were like, wow, she's a real life person. So people started sending her threats, reaching out to her, like, this is so wrong. You're so racist, da 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 da. And the girl came out was like,
post a picture of her. Like he really posted like if he knew he was lying, why would you actually put the picture there?
Sick.
I don't know. That's crazy.
Like people's gonna like
figure out who it is.
Yeah, it's like, did you not talk to her?
He told her.
You put her picture out there. That's weird.
He told her before he put the picture, like, yo, remove anything from your Instagram, from your socials that shows that we're friends so that people don't know that we're friends. Because I guess these two have always been friends. They've always been in contact.
Oh, she's in on it. Oh, okay.
Well, she wasn't really in on it. She didn't know that that's what the joke was going to be. And so when it went down, she was like, first off, that's not how it happened. Like, I told him, like, a week before in person, hey, I can't go to prom with you, blah, 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 blah. And she was kind of like, obviously, I'm not racist. Like, my husband is Indian. Like, I don't know where he's getting this thing off that I'm racist, that my family is racist. And I don't know why he would show my real life picture on the internet. And funny enough,
he's hilarious.
He invited her to the show where he made the joke about her. And she was like, yo, I didn't know he was going to make a joke about me. And I get there and I see my face on the screen and realize, like, I think he's trying to get back at me. Like, yo, I don't think he's trying to be friends anymore. I think he's like trying to, like.
That's a crazy joke on her. Like, to be for real, like, invite her to the show and say that she was the most racist person and like in front of your crowd, your fans.
Great. With her picture on stage, like this white girl. She racist.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then like she's there just like, what the fuck? That
seems intentional.
That's why I say this guy is super manipulating. Like, this is not even comedy anymore. It's just like he gets a kick out of it. That's what it seems like.
I'm a little sick about it because I love Hasan Minhaj. I think he's really entertaining. But truthfully, yeah, I thought the stories he was saying were true. Like, he gave so much detail. I didn't think that they were made up. And it does feel like you played me.
Man, he a player. Like, he made everyone believe. Like, well, I'm not too mad at him though. He's a good storyteller, I guess. Like, when you
and that was his point. Was he was like, this is how you tell a story. Like, you change certain situations and you change the timeline and you change the details to make it more engaging. And his exact quote is, the emotional truth is first, the factional truth is secondary. According to him, like, pulling on people's emotions is more important than some of the specific details.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they do in movies and books.
Yeah,
you're making up stories.
100%. Let me say this though. So one, I never thought that nigga was funny, to be honest. Like, I think he's charismatic and he's a good host. Like, he's great at that. His stand-up, I'm not really into too much. Like, I seen the interview he did with Obama, and I thought that was cool. Like, it was a vibe, you know.
Why you don't like his stand-up?
He just not funny. Like, some people just funny to me. I feel like comedy is subjective. Like, he just not.
What joke you say you didn't like?
None of them. Anytime I seen his stand-up or watched him on whatever, like I said, he's a good host, but like stand-up wise, like it's not it for me. But that's not the whole point of this. What I want to say is I love comedy. Like, I'm such a huge fan of comedy. And my whole standpoint on this situation is like, if it's funny, then I don't care what you say, to be honest. So I want to ask you, Jermayne, like, you know, the scenarios that he lied about and stuff. Like, do you remember, like, in his stand-ups when you heard those? Like, was it funny? Like, was the follow-up actually funny though?
So I definitely remember the stories in his stand-up because I should add, if you haven't seen his stand-ups, like, these are key points in the stand-up. Like, these are like the main jokes of the stand-up. They're not like things he said that took like 2 seconds or 2 minutes and they were in passing. Like, this is like the 10-minute buildup is this story. And they weren't funny stories, but they're sad stories. Like, they pull on your heartstrings and you're like, damn, like, he's been through so much. Like, wow. So I think that's just why it sucks is he, to me, would still be funny without the stories. Like, he didn't have to have the stories. Also, on the flip side, I understand that he is trying to speak for an entire community. Mm-hmm. Like, he is trying to represent for Indian Americans. He's trying to represent for Muslim Americans. He's trying to represent for, you know, second gen immigrants, you know, somebody who's a child of immigrants, and like that mix between I have remnants of my home country, but also like I'm born and bred in America. Like, I get he's trying to speak for a specific audience. And part of those stories are to bring people in and make them feel what it's like to be a part of those communities. At the second end of it, it's also like, you put a lot of emphasis on these stories for them to not be true. Like, it's kind of crazy that so much of your routine falls on these stories and they're just outright not true. Not even a little bit true.
So I think we're done. I think we're done being this back end for now.
Go ahead, though.
Yeah, like we've been killing for at least 30 minutes. And I don't know. To be honest, I don't even know what side of the field you guys are on. I don't know if he did a good thing or a bad thing. Like,
well, let's wrap it up there then. Me, I say, as long as it's funny, like, I'm with it. I don't care. You can lie about anything, personally. Jermayne, how would you sum it up?
I would say, Hasan, you are funny without this. Like, you can let this go.
Right. What say you?
It's a wrap. Go ahead, packing on in. Like, you fucked up. You fucked up, bro. You was really sick, nigga. Like, when I think about it, like, you a sick individual. And I hope, like, your career and everything, like, that you had going good for you. I hope karma come back and hit you, man. To be for real.
Damn, it's like
But
that.
hey, no, I'm just putting my honest perspective out there. It's not. I don't know him, but just hearing his story and like the jokes and everything like that. Like, I get his perspective, like it's a story and blah blah blah. But when you start getting into like people's life and you're kind of ruining people's lives, and you invited her and she's not in on it, and then you start telling things about real like health kind of scares,
Yeah, lying about
and
your
people
daughter and
aren't in,
Mhm.
they're not in on the joke with you. That's when it gets overboard for me, and I'm not with it.
I just want to.
So
I'm gonna.
fuck Hasan.
Ooh, I'm just gonna
You
add
heard it
in
here
this
first.
one detail. I'm sick for him that he lost out on the Daily Show gig. Like, this was like, I guess, took him out of the running. He had it, and this took him out because, from what I'm reading, Trevor Noah was making $16 million a year as the host of the Daily Show. He lost on a big bet. Ooh, all over some little lies.
Damn.
Don't lie, kids.
Yeah,
Not
that's the
worth
moral of
it.
the story. That's the moral of the story. Stop lying. Stop lying. I mean,
Why you always lying?
okay, you know what, let's go ahead and wrap it up here because we have been on this head for a while. So let's go ahead and get into some highlights for the week, man. So this week, let me highlight, man, one Project Pata. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Project Pat, legend from Memphis. And I was listening to his album. I want to highlight Mista Don't Play. I was listening to like the flows and the shit he was saying, and like he kind of got a lot of sons out in this game. Like, I don't know if he originated the shit that he was doing, but I hear a lot of Project Pat and a lot of artists that we hear today, you know, that may have grew up on 3-6 Project Pat, that couldn't hypnotize mind sound. So everybody check out that
Like
whole
who?
album. It's a lot of I hear it in Detroit a lot. I hear it in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just with the
Chopped
flows,
and
like
screwed.
that's Houston.
Okay.
So not necessarily chopped and screwed, but I'm saying like the flows, like the way the Project Pat was flowing on here, I hear it a lot in Detroit rap, like the same type of flow. And I feel like maybe that's what people was coming up on.
I gotta listen
Uh,
again.
yeah, listen to that Mr. Don't Play. So check that out. So what do you guys have to highlight this week for the people?
I'm gonna go ahead and highlight. Really, this came up very randomly. It was Thundercat's "It Is What It Is" album, and he had a video called Dragonball Durag. And when I was watching the video, I noticed the main lead in Abbott Elementary was in the video.
Mm-hmm. She was
I
Quincy
can't
Brunson.
remember. Yeah, Quincy Brinson was in the video, and I was like, wow. It's crazy how, I don't know, it made me like the song more really when I saw her.
Mm-hmm. I think Kali Uchis in that video too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think she is. She had the short hairstyle. Like, Thundercat, man, he be around the game for real. I know he worked with Kendrick Lamar and stuff like that on his albums. And yeah. So I'm gonna shout out Dragon Ball Durag. That's my highlight for this week.
Super dope. What you got for us, Jermayne?
I got 2 this week. So I'm going to do one that is like a little bit more mainstream that more people have probably heard or will be hearing soon, I bet. And then another one that's a little bit more off the beaten path. So the one that I feel like we're all probably going to get beaten down with is Agora Hills from Doja Cat's new album, Scarlet. I was really trying to avoid this album, really trying to avoid Doja because it was a little bit too much last year or last album. And she also is irritating, but this song goes. I need to spend more time playing around with her album, but some of the samples that she has in there, she like flipped them in a really interesting way. And this is a perfect example of that. So check out Agora Hills if you want a more like slow tempo, kind of sexy Doja Cat vibe. And the other song is called New Religion. It's by Joseph Solomon. He has one of those like old school raspy singer vibes. It's very good, like coffee shop rainy weather vibes, or you're on some like lovey-dovey little vibes, this is like the song to put on for sure.
Okay. Cool. So check out that Dragonball Durag. Check out that Mr. Don't Play Project Pat, and check out Agora Hills and New Religion by Joseph Solomon. But if you made it this far, we appreciate you for listening.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, man. This is the Friends Podcast, and we out. Peace out.
Bye.
Peace.